We've had mention of the fact that the praying 5 times a day is not in the Quran. Now, that is a Zoroastrian practice. It seems to me entirely possible that that was smuggled into the Sunnah by Zoroastrian converts. What that means is that people now are still following Zoroastrian practice, but thinking that it is eternally from God.
Jonathan, I'm confused. Are you saying that the original Arab followers of the Prophet, somehow a couple of Zoroastrians convert to Islam, and then they come and say, hey, you guys, you know what? I think actually, weren't you guys supposed to pray 5 times a day? And they're like, oh, we don't remember that. We lived with the Prophet for 20 years, but I think maybe we should start this. That's just a preposterous idea that somehow Zoroastrian converts to Islam convince all the other Muslims that they have to pray 5 times a day as an absolutely essential part of their religion, the one part that nobody disagrees on.
He claims that the 5 daily prayers came from Zoroastrianism. What he means is that after the death of the Prophet, in the early Islamic period, Muslims were like, hey guys, these Zoroastrians, they got these 5 daily prayers. Let's do it. That's basically his argument. I'm not trying to make fun of Tom Holland since it's getting recorded, and I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for that. Georgetown professor makes fun of Tom Holland. You don't believe people when they talk about themselves. You can't believe a religious tradition's story of itself unless it's making itself look bad. Then you can believe it. He says that there's a rabbi in the late 700s in central Iraq who says some Zoroastrians, when they became Muslim, they continued to practice existing traditions. It doesn't say they continued to practice 5 daily prayers. In fact, it's actually talking about drinking. That report doesn't appear, it's not like we have that rabbi's diary. It appears in a 12th century work in France, written by a rabbi in France, which is actually a 18th and 19th century forgery. That's his source. Okay? So what he's saying is, I'm going to believe a 19th century forged book that claims to be a 12th century rabbi writing about, making a report from an 8th century rabbi in Iraq that says that Zoroastrian converts who became Muslim continued drinking. No mention of the 5 daily prayers. That is revisionism, i.e., as long as it's not from Muslims or whatever it comes from, it's true. And even if that chain of reasoning is a lot crazier, look, we know that Islam took up pre-existing practices. The Quran says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقُرْآنَ الصَّوْمُ كَمَا الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Fasting is ordained for you, as it was ordained from those before you. The Hajj, all this stuff is pre-Islamic. Maybe 5 daily prayers were a custom that the Zoroastrians have. But the Prophet adopted this into Islam. So it's a legitimate part of the religion. Why is that such an outrageous idea? I mean, that's a perfect example of revisionism gone wild.